The most successful people in the world, whether it's in sport, whether it's in business, whether it's in entertainment, all have one thing in common: resilience. No matter what happens, they never, ever quit. Now, that's a skill that's actually something you can develop. That resilience is something you can learn with time, but you need to understand why people quit. It's simple. They lose belief. If somebody has a goal that they think they can achieve, they're going to put everything they can into it. But where people go wrong is they take a few hits and they deal with failure, and they start to think that it's not possible for them to achieve that goal. They lose that belief, they lose their desire to perform, and they inevitably quit. Now, would you like to learn how to be like the best of the best? Well, it's simple. You have to learn how to master the concept of belief. Learning how to master belief comes from understanding where belief comes from. In order for you to understand that, I invented something I like to call the 7-step success cycle. It goes as follows. First, you need a goal. Obviously, if you don't know where you're going, you're going to have a lot of trouble getting somewhere. Why people die in deserts? It's a really funny concept. Is if they don't have any sort of tracking, like a compass or a GPS, one leg is always stronger than the other. And with time, when they go far enough, they end up walking in giant circles. You need to know where you're going in order to actually get somewhere. The second step is a plan. I have a saying: what's a goal without a plan? Well, it means you're talking smack. If you don't know how you're going to achieve something, you're just somebody who has an idea. And there are people in Silicon Valley or in places where there are business hubs that their entire job is to just sit down and think of great ideas all day. An idea without a plan for execution and without the subsequent execution isn't really anything at all. Next, you need action. You need to take the first step. The first step is always the most important step. It doesn't have to be perfect, and this is where a lot of people go wrong. Because even if it's not, you've now got feedback on how to take a better step moving forward. But the most important step you can take is the first one. Now here's where it gets exciting. Because once you've taken one step, you can look behind you and go, well, I've traveled the distance of one step. Now, according to my plan, my next step is exactly equidistant to my first step. And if I've done that, I can probably do this as well. Then you take your second step. Then you look back and say, well, I've done 2 steps. And my next step is only 1 step. It's obvious that I can clearly do that next step. Now what you're doing is generating our next step, momentum. And momentum, if you've worked in sales for any period of time, you understand is the most powerful thing that you or any sales office can wield. And that comes from successful actions. Now, the next step is once you've generated enough momentum, you start to find what we're looking for: belief. You believe that you can achieve your goals because you are on a roll. You've got the hot hand, and that's a great place to be. Once you establish that belief and you enforce it through positive action and positive action and positive action, you then create certainty. The most successful people in the world are certain that they're going to achieve what they want. There's a saying that's always resonated with me ever since I was a kid. The world stands aside for the person who knows where they're going. And when you have that certainty, you'll find people go out of their way to help you achieve what you want to achieve. And that's fantastic. Now, once you have that certainty, you have our final step in the 7-step cycle, which is success. You actually achieve what you want to achieve. Now, this is really important for you to understand because it's a cycle for a reason. Have you ever seen any celebrity achieve this big goal that they've set out for a long time and not set a subsequent goal? They fall to pieces. Look at any famous boxer or any famous fighter of any kind. They live that lavish lifestyle and they achieve what they wanted to achieve. And then it all falls apart. So it is absolutely pivotal that once you achieve that success, you set a subsequent goal to go and push yourself through those 7 steps again. Once you understand how that 7-step cycle works, you're then going to be more successful at achieving what you want. And that's a really powerful position to be in. Now, our 7-step cycle is fantastic in theory, but in reality and in practicality, it doesn't always work exactly according to plan because there are always going to be unforeseen obstacles that we incur. Now, those obstacles are where we have our problems with belief, and this is why most people quit. Let me explain it like this. You imagine these 7 steps are like a hill, and you're in a car trying to go up the hill. You don't have to worry about all of the steps. There are really only 3 that I need you to focus on when it comes to mastering belief. They are action, momentum, and belief. Because here's the problem. When people struggle with belief and they take a few too many failures and they lose that belief, they try and hold themselves to that original standard that they held themselves to. They're trying to create belief without actually creating the momentum or the action that gets them there. In other words, they're trying to take giant steps before they can take baby steps. And this is where the problem lies. If you're in a car going up a hill and you're in a manual car, if you're in 4th gear, which is belief, and you're stalling going up that hill, what happens if you try and push that accelerator down even farther? Well, your engine stalls. And depending on the severity of the stall, you're going to go all the way down to the bottom of the hill. And you question the goal that you started with. And a lot of people in that situation will then go, you know what? I don't want to go up that hill anymore. I'm going to go somewhere else instead. Now, where you really master this resilience that we speak about is by understanding how to get your momentum back up and running, which will create your belief. And that's simple. Rather than trying to go up that hill in 4th gear, what you really want to do is drop it back to 2nd gear or even 1st gear, depending on the severity of your loss of belief. So what you need to do is go back to the start. Now, your goal shouldn't change. The goal shouldn't have to change, but sometimes the plan will. Sometimes you will need to make adaptations. Sometimes you will need to make minor changes. Sometimes you just need to go back and see what the original plan was. But here's where it's really important. You need to be in 2nd gear and start with your action again. You need to put one foot in front of the other. Now, in order to do that, you look at your plan and you say, what's the next thing that I can do? What is the highest value priority thing that I can accomplish right now that I can do quite easily? Now, in sales, that might be just getting a small win. I want to get 25 full conversations or pitches out today. If I do that, that's a little win. Sometimes it might just be lowering your sales targets a bit. I want to make, depending on what you're selling, I want to make 5 sales this week rather than the traditional 7 that you used to make. Or whatever the applicability, you just need to start building your momentum again. And building that momentum just comes from putting one foot in front of the other and taking those baby steps. Again, the actions don't have to be perfect, they just have to happen. Now, once you've got that action, you start putting action in front of action and chaining them together, you will create that momentum. The more you ride that momentum, the more you'll begin to get your belief back. And once you hit that belief again, you'll forget all about that loss of belief you had in the first place. And that is how you create your certainty, and that is how you create your success. Once you understand the concept of building your momentum back after you lose belief, you will never quit ever again, and you will achieve every goal you ever set out to hit. Happy hunting, guys.